Ryan holds up a crumpled receipt and stares into the camera. I want you to do something right now. Pull up your bank statement. Last 30 days. Scroll through it. And I want you to find the purchase that, the second you bought it, you knew was a mistake, not a tragedy. Just that small, quiet voice inside you going, really? Maybe it was a $60 skincare set that's still sealed in the box. Maybe it was the 4th streaming service you subscribed to and forgot about in the same week. Maybe it was the standing desk converter you bought at 11 p.m. Because a podcast made you feel guilty about sitting, we all have one. Most of us have 10. Here's what's wild. You are not impulsive. You're not irresponsible. You are a normal human being operating inside a system that was engineered by rooms full of psychologists, neuroscientists, and behavioral economists, specifically to get you to buy things you don't need the moment before you think clearly about whether you actually want them. And there's a name for the exact mechanism that turns a single unnecessary purchase into an avalanche of them. It's called the Diderot Effect, and by the time this video is over, you'll never walk into a store, physical or digital, the same way again. My name is Ryan. On this channel, I break down the invisible architecture of consumer behavior so you can finally spend with intention instead of regret. Let's get into it. To understand why one purchase almost always triggers another, I need to take you to 18th century France. Denis Diderot was one of the towering intellectuals of the Enlightenment, the lead editor of the encyclopedia. He was also, for most of his life, completely broke. In 1765, Catherine the Great of Russia bailed him out. She purchased his personal library for a sum equivalent to several years of his salary, while generously letting him keep the books. Overnight, Diderot had more money than he'd ever seen, so he did what any of us would do. He bought himself something nice. A scarlet dressing gown. Silk? Beautifully made. The kind of robe you see and immediately feel would change your entire morning routine. He brought it home, put it on, and something broke inside him. Not the robe. Everything else, because standing there in that exquisite robe, he looked around his study, and for the first time, he actually saw it. The ink-stained desk, the threadbare rug, the cracked leather chair, the faded curtains, none of it had bothered him before. He'd been content. But now, each object felt like an accusation. Each one whispered, "You don't belong here anymore." So, he replaced the desk, then the rug, then the curtains, then the chair, then the paintings. En everyone, he systematically upgraded every object in his study to match the robe. When it was over, he was broke again. He later wrote, "I was absolute master of my old dressing gown, but I have become the slave of my new one." One object, one domino, an entire fortune gone. And the mechanism he described is still running in your brain every single day. So, let's define exactly what we're dealing with. The Diderot effect is this. The introduction of a single new possession into your life can trigger a cascade of additional purchases, each one driven not by need, but by the psychological discomfort of inconsistency. In plain English, when one thing in your life gets upgraded, everything around it suddenly feels inadequate. And human beings are hardwired to resolve that feeling even when the resolution costs a fortune. Here's the key insight that most people miss. This isn't about vanity. It isn't about greed. It is about identity. Every object you own is a small vote for the story you tell about yourself. And when one object changes the story, The rest of your possessions are suddenly voting for the wrong character. Example 1. The home office upgrade. Marcus got a promotion. As a treat, he bought a $450 mechanical keyboard. He set it on his desk and immediately noticed his monitor looked cheap by comparison. So he upgraded the monitor. $380. Now the monitor and keyboard looked great. But the desk itself was a $90 IKEA table from college. It felt wrong. So he got a proper standing desk. $650. At this point, Marcus had spent $1,480 on what began as a keyboard purchase. But the standing desk revealed that his desk chair was embarrassing next to this setup. So in went a new ergonomic chair. $540. Final tally, $2,020. For a keyboard, example 2, the identity purchase trap. You decide you're going to start running. You buy the performance shoes, $180. But now your old cotton t-shirts feel inadequate. So you get 2 running tops, $90, then compression socks, a GPS watch, and a foam roller. You have spent over $500. You have run twice. What happened here wasn't impulsivity. It was identity consistency. Your brain built the runner identity first, and then your purchases had to catch up to that identity. Example 3. The comparison spiral. You're at a friend's apartment for dinner. You notice their kitchen. You go home and look at yours differently. This is upward social comparison, a concept traced to Leon Festinger's 1954 social comparison theory. Your kitchen, which was perfectly fine before, now has a deficit. So you start upgrading. A new coffee machine, new dish towels, a matching set of containers, the scarlet robe. This time was someone else's kitchen. And you never even touched it. Layer 1. The ownership illusion. Richard Thaler, the Nobel Prize-winning behavioral economist of 2017, documented the endowment effect, our tendency to value things more once we feel we own them. When you save an item to your wish list and check it for days, your brain rehearses ownership. By the time you purchase, the dopamine isn't from acquiring something new. It's from closing the gap between what your brain already thinks it has and reality. Layer 2. The arrival fallacy. Psychologist Tal Ben-Shahar popularized the arrival fallacy, the belief that once we attain a possession, we will finally be happy. But it's not a finish line. It's a starting gun. Hedonic adaptation means what felt like luxury becomes normal, and normal becomes the new floor from which the next want launches. Layer 3. Buying as self-regulation. Many unnecessary purchases are about managing an emotional state. Boredom, anxiety, loneliness. Shopping provides reliable relief. The feeling of agency, of doing something. But it doesn't address the underlying state. The original feeling returns, and you're back at the scroll. Framework 1. True cost accounting. Before any purchase over $100, write down 3 things this item might demand of you in the next 6 months. New car means insurance increase and wardrobe pressure. New apartment means furniture to match and social expectations that cost more. The item price is the opening bid. The system cost is what you'll actually pay. Framework 2. Cost per use. Take the price. Divide by realistic uses in the next year. A $200 cast iron skillet used 3 times a week, works out to roughly $1.28 per use after a year, which is exceptional value. A $90 collection of decorative items bought in one session has a cost per use that is essentially infinite. They don't get used. They get displayed as evidence of a lifestyle you're not quite living. Strategy 1. Rewrite the trigger. For any purchase over $150, ask before checkout, what already in my life will this make look inadequate? Write the answer down. If the answer is nothing, proceed. If it's 3 things, you now know you're not buying one item. Do it knowingly, with the full budget in mind. Strategy 2. The 72-hour rule with a twist. Don't just wait. During those 72 hours, actively use whatever you already own that might fill the same role. Cook with your current kitchen gadget. Run in the shoes you have. Fill the notebook on your shelf. Most of the time, the existing item is fine. You didn't need an upgrade. You needed a reminder you already had what you needed. Strategy 3. Quarterly identity audit. Every 3 months, review every subscription and significant purchase. For each one, ask, who did I think I was becoming when I bought this? Identify the one identity you actually want to build this quarter. Invest your time in it, not your money. A low-cost identity you're actually living is worth more than a high-cost identity you're performing. Ryan sets the receipt down. The Diderot Effect isn't a moral failure. It's a completely predictable response to a system designed with enormous sophistication and budget to produce exactly that response in you. Diderot didn't know he was being played. He just bought a robe. You have something he didn't. A name for what's happening. And the moment you name it, you interrupt it. Not always, but often enough to matter. The next time you feel that pull, pause. Say the name, Diderot Effect. And then decide with your whole brain, drop à comment. Tell me the last thing you bought that you now recognize as a Diderot Effect purchase. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't buy the robe.